Hi, everyone. I'm Kerry Lutz. This is the Financial Survival Network, and it's time for another Triple Lutz report. This is episode 475. If you were listening to the last Triple Lutz report, I explained to you that none of the current crop of Democratic wannabes or pretenders to the throne who are trying purportedly to become president are ever going to make it. The best you can say about creepy, sleepy, pervy Joe Biden is that he is a placeholder for the eventual nominee. So, in other words, if Biden should get lucky enough to prevail to actually take the nomination, he's not fit to run. Now, the one thing you have to understand about Democrats is they're being hoisted on um, their own politically correct petard, because being a Democrat means that in the spirit of inclusion, every idiot who decides that they are going to run for president must be taken seriously. What I want to know is you got all these shrinks, thousands of shrinks saying Trump is insane. He needs to be removed from office under the 25th Amendment. Where are they judging crazy, sleepy, creepy Joe Biden's mental acuity and his ability to actually lead the country? You would think if these people were sincere, they'd look at this guy and say, hey, we might as well just reelect Jimmy Carter because this guy is done. He's toast. He really has no ability to. He just is non-compos mentis. I mean, he was always stupid. He was a buffoon. He was somewhat amusing and endearing. I'll grant you that. But basically, Joe Biden was never a person to be taken seriously. Hasn't gotten any better than that. He's falling apart at the seams. He is unfit to be the candidate. So the only reason that he's there, well, there's two reasons. One is to assist in the impeachment efforts against President Trump because creepy Joe knew he was going down. So the one chance he had was, hey, I'm a candidate for office. None of these allegations mean anything. You're just doing it to try to, take the presidency away from me. So in effect, he's seeking to use his campaign for president and his attempted nomination as immunization for the charges of corruption that are all too obvious between him and Hunter. They just totally monetized the office. They raped the country. So that's number one. And number two is they somehow, it's a form of elder abuse, and they persuaded him, Joe, you're really the one. The country can't live without you, knowing full well that when push came to shove, he would never be the nominee. But look, if he actually wins the nomination through the primary process, which I doubt is possible, but if he's actually able to do it, then they'll be able to pull him out the last minute, say he's non-compos mentis Joe, he's got to go, and then they'll put their own person in there who will probably be a moderate or somebody acceptable to the elite, which is not one and the same. So that's Joe. Hey, we had Kamala drop out yesterday. She was an arrogant, nasty, really mean-spirited, and just a lazy intellectual person here. When she attacked Biden for busing was about the worst thing to ever hit public education in the United States. Tore apart communities. Look at South Boston. All over the country, it tore them apart. I'm not in favor of separate but equal, but forced busing to achieve this racial equality was a pipe dream. It was just never, ever going to happen. It was ill-conceived. It was an idea that only a Democrat or a judge could really love. And for her to attack Biden for being against forced busing for integration purposes is just wrong. I mean, in Florida, we spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year forcibly busing people all over the place. And what if we took that money from the busing and actually invested it in the schools? Uh, so what if there's a racial domination in one or the other? If it's a really good school and it's really getting the funds that it needs, let's give it a try. It's time to get rid of the remnants of this flawed desegregation nonsense. So that's Kamala. She's gone. Booker, not a real candidate. The elites convinced these people that they should run. Warren, it didn't take much to convince her because she knew she was born to be president anyway. Beto, because he collected so much money for his aborted or his defeated Senate campaign in Texas, he wasn't much better, and he didn't take much convincing. But a Cory Booker and all of these other flakes, they have no chance here. Tulsi Gabbard, they didn't want her only because she's a spoiler. So anyways, we get to the convention. One of two things will have happened. Biden will have wrapped up the nomination in spite of his loss of mental faculties, or maybe because of it. Maybe he's just a guy that Democrats can wrap their arms around. Like I was saying, in the spirit of inclusivity, which is what the Democratic Party purports to be, it doesn't matter how incompetent you are, whether you're crazy, whether you're insane, whether you're hateful, bigoted, because there's a place for you in the Democratic Party. In the Republican Party, these people really didn't get taken seriously last time. Yes, they were up on the stage, but they weren't taken seriously. The caliber of the candidates from the last Republican go-round was far higher than the caliber of these Democrats. And nobody takes them seriously. It's still a center-right country, and these people do not have a prayer. They just don't have a prayer. So let's go. So one of two things happens. Biden is the nominee, and then he's removed for medical reasons, and the elites vote the person they want. Or we get to the convention, and nobody has a majority. So who are we going to be left with? There's three potential candidates, in my opinion. Number one is Hillary Clinton. Number two is Andrew Cuomo. And really, if Hillary is going to be up there running, Cuomo probably won't be. And number three is Tim Walz, somebody you've never heard of. But he actually is the best candidate that the Democrats can put up. He's from Minnesota. He's not totally insanely liberal, although he is to the left of center. He looks kind of distinguished. He's everyman. He didn't go to great colleges. He's a non-elite elitist. And he hasn't screwed up Minnesota too terribly. Minnesota is a bit of a mess, but it's not as much of a mess as, say, California or Illinois. Other thing he has going for him is he's a midwestern governor. So that means that he'll be in a position to perhaps retain Minnesota, which the Democrats are in danger of losing. They haven't voted for a Republican, I think, since Bush 41 or Reagan. So we're looking at a long, long time ago, 30-odd years ago. If the Democrats lose Minnesota, they're toast. They're finished. It's over. And it looks like there's a very good chance that they might. And in any event, the Democrats will be forced to spend money to defend Minnesota because Trump came within 1.5 percentage points of winning in Minnesota, devoting zero resources and efforts. Now he's got a full-blown staff, campaign infrastructure there. He'll be visiting there 2 or 3 times. So you know that they have to do something. Tim Walz makes the most sense. He's kind of a blank slate. Yeah, he's got a record. He was in Congress. He's not the brightest guy, but he's not a Biden. He's not a gaffe master. So I'm thinking he is a good possibility. Next is Andy Cuomo. So he comes from the Cuomo dynasty. His brother Chris is a propagandizer on CNN. He's a horrible governor. He's forbidden fracking from taking hold in upstate New York. He's tried crony capitalism with horrible results. New York State is a fiscal basket case. The only thing that keeps New York State going is the fact that Wall Street has had this remarkable 10-year run, but it's not going to continue on indefinitely. You have to realize that. So when we take all these things into account, he is articulate. He probably could go head-to-head with Trump on stage in the debates, but he's from New York. They don't need any more New Yorkers. I mean, that's hardcore blue. It's like taking a nominee from California or from Massachusetts. There's nothing to be gained there. So my guess is not likely. And then we have Hillary Clinton. She was just on Howard Stern today, had yet another coughing fit. There are serious questions about her health. In addition, well, the fact that this contrived electoral process is taking place, she's just Machiavellian enough to have put this in place because she knew that she could not win another series of primaries and probably is not physically fit to run for those primaries. And the party has gone so much to the left, it's even further left than she is. So Hillary, as a cynic, you could say she's planned this whole process out. This is also a war between, the mainstream Democrats and the left Democrats. The moderates versus the totally over the top crazy liberals who are totally unelectable. They cannot get elected. Elizabeth Warren is unelectable. Pete Buttigieg, he's unelectable. They're all unelectable in their own right. So really, Hillary maybe put this cluster, together to get her a nomination without having to go through a campaign season that she's physically unfit to handle. And then Biden is out, Hillary's in, and that's what happens. My gut feel is it's not going to work that way. She is too divisive a character at this point in time. She can't really bring the left over. A guy like Tim Walz could bring them over without having to be overtly leftist because he's like Chance Gardner in that movie Being There, where everybody sees what they want into him. To me, he's like a Pataki. Nobody knew what a Pataki was until he became governor of New York. He had no positions, no nothing. Waltz is a little more defined, but not terribly. Been a politician for a long time, but he looks like next door neighbor, like a guy you would have a beer with. If you were going to have a beer with Hillary, you would probably want to have it tested to make sure that there was no substances in there that could lead you to an untimely end. So that's what we've got there. Like I say, Cuomo, I just don't see him. Everyone hates him. He's a gun grabber. He's, advocated ejecting conservatives from New York State, that we don't need him, and he's well on his way to doing it. His economy there has performed horribly. So many reasons for it not to be a Cuomo nomination, but he's standing in the ready. And if he's called upon, no doubt he will go. So there you have it. And let's see if there's anyone else that really is of noteworthiness. I can't think of anyone. Michelle Obama is a name that's touted about quite a bit. It's true, the Obamas, the Clintons, and people with common sense are in a battle for the soul of the party, if it has a soul. Democratic Party has no soul, but for the direction of the party. Michelle Obama hated every moment she was in the White House, hated Barry. If she were to run for president, she would have to be with Barry nonstop. She's just not going to do it. The scowl, she's happy making hundreds of millions of dollars being out of the White House. So why would she screw up a good thing? I don't see it. They got their $16 million estate over at Martha's Vineyard. I guess she has the left side, he has the right side. They don't have to see each other more than once or twice a week. And, the only threat to them is climate change, that it'll sweep their place away. Shows you what they think. Michelle Obama never going to be a candidate. Oprah, no. I just don't see it. So there you go. There's my opinions. Tim Walz, he's going to be the nomination. Regardless, it's not going to be Joe Biden or any of those people who are running now. I'm just giving you my best educated guess because he just clicks all the boxes and he is a Midwesterner. If the Democrats have any chance of winning, they're going to have to recapture a large chunk of the Midwest and Pennsylvania. If they don't do that, it's over. Look, my opinion, I said it from the day Trump was elected. He will be president for 8 years. The reason is really simple. Incumbents always have the advantage because they get to spend money, send money, they get Air Force One, and Trump, there has been no let up in his popularity. Those who voted for him are still going to vote for him. A lot of you out there are doing better economically. That is a fact. Some of you aren't. That's true also. But the reality is that Trump is going to be reelected handily. Remember, two things. I was one of the few people who predicted his election in 2016, and I made that prediction in July of 2015 after I had seen Trump make his case before Freedom Fest and see 2,500 libertarians give him a standing ovation. Whether you love Trump or hate Trump, doesn't matter. He is a leader, and that is what the country's been desperate for. Whether he's leading us down the path of doom or leading us to the promised land, he is leading us. None of these other people we've had since Reagan have been leaders. You have a situation, they call it in the military, management without leadership. That's what the United States has had since Ronald Reagan left. No vision, no hope, no nothing. That is why Trump will win again. The other prediction I made, which nobody out there made, and it makes me feel like maybe I've got an insight. I know Trump. I did some work for him, minor cases, 20 years ago. But the other prediction I made that I repeated yesterday is I predicted from day one that the wall would be built to some extent. I didn't know how long it was going to take. But more importantly, that the Mexican army would be stationing troops on its borders to cut down on illegal immigration. Nobody else out there ever made that prediction except yours truly. I'm not doing this to toot my own horn, just to let you know that I've got some insights here that you're just not going to hear elsewhere. So, look, like I say, the situation is always hopeless, but never serious. Don't get your panties in a bunch. We made it through Bush 41. We made it through Clinton. We made it through Bush 43, barely. We made it through Obama, barely. We'll make it through Trump, whether you love him or hate him. It just doesn't really matter that much. Hopefully Trump can do more good than harm, but keep an eye on the debt. $24 trillion, up $2 trillion since he took over. That's it for now. This is Kerry Lutz. Been another Triple Lutz Report signing off. Make sure you visit our website, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Send me emails. Post comments to the website, post them to YouTube and to all the podcast platforms out there. KL@kerrylutz.com is the email address to send me emails. Love doing this. I'm on my 9th year now. I hope I'll do another 9 years. Maybe I'll be creepy Joe Biden's age when I stop doing it. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching.